Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of For the Health of It, our new segment on health and wellness dedicated to getting important information out to you and our wider community. Today, we have a very important subject topic that we're going to discuss and share with everyone, and that is the topic of teen and young adult mental health. We are joined today by Robert Harris, who is a early childhood intervention supervisor and licensed professional counselor, therapist, and he has worked with teens, young adults, and many others in the area of mental health for quite some time. And so he is going to talk to us about the subject. So, Elder Rob, welcome. Good to have you this evening. How you doing?
Blessed to be here. Thank you, Pastor, for inviting me and then bringing light to an important topic like this.
Absolutely. We have talked about this in other spaces. I've had the chance to talk about this in this topic in other spaces, but I don't think that we can talk about it enough just because, well, certainly I think we forget that we're still in a pandemic. And all of the stress and strain and things that continue to come with that. We see, the kind of aggravated state in society, just people more tense and stressed out and all of those things. So I think we can't talk enough about this, particularly when it comes to our younger population and how to make sure that they're getting the right support. So let's jump right in. I want to ask you a few questions. How prevalent would you say are mental health needs amongst or mental health challenges amongst the young adult and or teen population?
Amazing question. So I'll start off with the younger age group, and I am going to let all of those listening and watching right now. I'm very interested to see what these numbers will look like 2023 when research comes out for 2020 to 2022.
Mhm.
As of right now, though, particularly among children and teens 3 to 17, or look like teens from 12 to 17, about 10% have ADHD, 10% have anxiety, about 8 or 9% have behavior problems, and about 5% have depression.
Mhm.
While those percentages seem small when you think about what that may mean in terms of actual children, you're looking at anywhere between 6 to 3 million children
Mhm.
suffering with these things.
Yeah.
That's not all, though, when it comes to teens. When you have any of these things, the likelihood of it being comorbid, which means you have another disorder on top of that,
Mhm.
increases. So
Wow.
it's a strong likelihood if you have ADHD that you most likely may have anxiety or behavior problems. If you have
Mhm.
anxiety, there's a good chance that you have behavior problems or depression. If you have behavior problems, there's a good chance you have anxiety, depression, or any other of these things.
Mhm.
And so that's something to pay attention to when it comes to our teens, that not only is the likelihood high, but if you have one, there's a good chance of you having another. And all of these things should be, you guys can look up, but it's good for us to know that these numbers have increased over time. Again,
Mhm.
the pandemic is going to probably give us some good indications of the impact of children and
Mhm.
families and homes over the course of these last 2 years. And that's just for teens. You look at young adults, the numbers are staggering. Um, Young adults make up a large percentage of portions, and we're talking about young adults 18, and let's just cap it off at, let's say, 26, 27 or so.
Mhm.
Young adults make up a staggering percentage of the average mental health illness. So that's just kind of a general mental health concern
Mhm.
to severe mental illness. And we're talking about things that are mood disorders, behavioral disorders, words like schizophrenia and things like that. They make up, roughly around 5 to 7% of the issues being presented.
Mhm.
That's a large number
Absolutely.
of individuals affected. And so what does that mean, right? In layman's terms, there's a good chance that you know somebody
Right.
that knows somebody with mental health concern when it comes to young adults. There's a good chance that you know somebody whose child is facing or struggling with mental health concerns when you
Mhm.
get those numbers.
Okay, so I think you're bringing it home now, and I appreciate that. So talk to us about what are the signs to look for with a young person or a young adult that would indicate that they need some could benefit from mental health support.
Great question. Great question. So the first thing to pay attention to is when someone loses interest in things that they usually found interesting. That's a good general sign, a good yellow sign, a yellow marker for us to pay attention to when you notice that your child, your teenager, your young adult If they were once into, or let's go with the children and teens first. Like, say they were once into reading books, and all of a sudden you suddenly like, I don't feel like reading anymore. They were into sports, and I don't feel like playing that much anymore. Whatever they found interesting, and they no longer find it interesting. If you notice that, that's something to pay attention to. Are they getting more isolatory in their behavior? Right? Are they starting to move from a space where they were once social, more engaged, and whether their friend group was 20 or 5, but they no longer want to hang out with those friends? Those are good signs. These things that I'm about to say may sound obvious, but can go unnoticed. If you notice that your child or a child or young adult is hurting themselves, that is something to pay attention to. Things like cutting is going to become prevalent. Little fun fact: cutting is usually your child goes, or your teenager, I should say, or your young adult goes from wearing short sleeves, and also they're wearing long sleeves. Even during climates and seasons where you're like, you wouldn't typically do that.
Right.
Maybe be curious about that. Pay attention to those type of things.
Mm-hmm.
I talked about isolatory behavior, loss of interest in things. Are they sleeping more? Are they sleeping less?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, those are things to pay attention to when it comes to teens and young adults. Increase in risky behavior. For young adults, that may be an increase in substance abuse.
Yeah.
That may be an increase in alcohol usage. That may be an increase in what they consider risky behaviors. And so for young adults or even for teens, that can be interpersonal relationships. They're hanging out with people that you have a fairly good reasoning around, like they wouldn't do that before. These are all signs to pay attention to, that your child may be facing something on an emotional or mental level.
Okay, and you just mentioned that your child, so of course you're also talking to parents, but continue in that vein, Rob. Please talk to parents, but also talk to non-parents, but those who are connected to teens and or young adults. What can they do to provide support?
So, creating a safe space. I recently had the privilege to talk about this at a church in New Jersey, and one of the things that adults are at fault for, I truly say, adults not trained, adults maybe ignorant of this,
Mm-hmm.
are at fault for not creating safe enough spaces for teens and young adults to enter into.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that prevents individuals from seeking out treatment is judgment,
Mm-hmm.
it's fear of backlash, repercussions. That is something that we can actually combat
Mm-hmm.
through our intentions, right?
Yeah.
Love to tell people, if you're going to ask a question, be open to receive the answer and realize that that answer may not be what you expect.
Yeah.
Listen with intention to understand. Ask open-ended questions. Tell me more.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to hear more about that.
Yeah.
I wonder what that feels like for you. All open-ended questions, all questions that elicit more from the young adult, from the teenager, from your child, from your loved ones, from your niece, your nephew, your mentee. All of these things provide opportunity for the individual to share about their experiences, and then you can begin to formulate a plan. You have your pediatricians, and pediatricians now really go up to, I believe, 26, right? Because of the legal changes.
Mm-hmm.
An individual can see their pediatrician up until 26.
Right.
They have the opportunity to speak to that point. As a health provider, they are bound by HIPAA laws. They're bound by things that can protect that individual, right, for any kind of backlash or negative inferences that prevent them from seeking out treatment. You can seek out a mental health provider if they're in school, the school social worker, the school mental health practitioner,
Mm-hmm.
individuals who are trained to be able to help families, to help
Yeah.
teens get the treatment that they need. If you are a working young adult, because that's possible, you can see if your place of employment has an employee assisted program that you can look into, hopefully covered by your insurance.
Yeah.
Again, considering that where we are in this life, Pastor, that there are many probably young adults that still on their insurances, parents' insurance. Ask your parents, hey, I'd like to just kind of see what our plan covers and be interested in opening up to looking for help.
Okay.
The best thing that we can do is create a space of understanding and safety to share.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once someone feels comfortable to share, once the biases and the fear of judgments
Mm-hmm.
are done away with, that an individual may seek out help and say,
Okay.
hey, I'm not feeling okay. And we
Okay.
can get together
Yeah.
and get from there.
So the shutting you down, or what's wrong with you, or why can't you just get it together? All those things are you would characterize that obviously as the wrong type
Yeah,
of responses
I would.
when we are seeing some of the signs, the indicators that you shared.
I would.
We want to be open, supportive,
Mhm.
and non-judgmental in our language. And I say that, and you know why I say that, because in our community, of course, just kind of historically,
Yeah.
there is, stigma around mental health, that you're weak, that you're crazy, that you can't handle life or your situations. And we've got to move past that. So we can't say it enough. And we want to continue to say it enough. I think we need to normalize, the not only the conversation, but also just an understanding that this is what everyone needs. This is
Yeah.
not just what some people need, but everyone needs mental health support. As human beings, we need that type of support. Each one of us, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. You said that very well. As we as a community, as a culture, and I'll make it more I'll work within my microcosm, right? Which is the idea of as a Caribbean American.
Hmm.
There was a time where we began to focus on our physical wellness. Um, as a Christian, we focus on our physical wellness.
Yeah.
So that means we started to encourage things like mammograms and getting regular checkups and getting physicals and eating right. And so
Hmm.
we start to take care of our body, sans our mind. And now it's time that we recognize that our mind is a part of that physical wellness. And so we should
Hmm.
engage in, again, I like to say, put out there for our community, a lot of places cover EAPs in their insurances. That's 3 to 5 free sessions a year. It's a checkup, just a
Yeah.
space for you to share. You know what? It's been great, right? Therapy doesn't have to be a place where you talk about difficult things. You can share positive things. You can
Hmm.
do personality assessments. You can get a feel of where you are in this season of your life, and it would also be a place where you highlight things that you're struggling with. As
Hmm.
a pastor, this is something that needs to be normalized.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
are tons of organizations out there like Jesus in Therapy that
Hmm.
basically say that these things do not have to be at odds.
Okay.
You can
Hmm.
be rooted in your spirituality. There are tons of professionals, mental health professionals, that practice within their scope of religion. And I just don't
Hmm.
want to limit it to us as Christians. You have
Yeah.
Muslim therapists, you have
Hmm.
Buddhist therapists, you have
Hmm.
spiritualist. For anyone listening to this that's beyond
Hmm.
the Christian scope, you can
Right.
find someone that's willing to speak with you and
Right.
that can identify with you. Make sure to look for individuals that connect with you. If
Hmm.
you're more comfortable with a male, look for a
Yeah.
male therapist. If you're more comfortable with a female, look for a female therapist. If you prefer somebody who identifies as they or them, you are able to look for somebody that you can connect with.
That's right.
You can find the support that you need, and
Mhm.
particularly for our teenagers, especially for a population that is vulnerable among us with this dangerous years, right? And people now
Mhm.
questioning how they're going to live. You think about school shootings and these other things, Pastor.
Absolutely.
It's
Mhm.
incredibly important that
Yeah.
we normalize seeking out this support.
Yeah.
We normalize talking about what this support looks like, and we
Mhm.
normalize paying attention to these signs
Yeah.
that basically show that something is off, and it's okay if it's
Yeah.
off because we can seek the support to fix it.
That's right. Is there a book that you would recommend for someone who wants to kind of explore, learn more, kind of expand their knowledge on this?
Oh man, okay. I'm going to say this with a smile because I'm
Mhm.
talking to Dr. Kenlock. I look behind you. There's a bookshelf that is
Mhm.
littered with books. I am trying to do the same. So, an excellent book for
Mhm.
I believe it's by Dr. Mark Brackett. It's called Permission to Feel. If
Mhm.
you're a fan of Metro, you know that I've spoken about that book.
Mhm. Mhm.
It is wonderful. It is amazing. Um,
Mhm.
good book in increasing our emotional wellness and wellness, which
Mhm.
is a big influence on our mental
Very
health.
good. Yes.
Then another book that I am now championing is called No Drama Discipline.
Mhm.
No Drama Discipline is a book that actually focuses on caregiving and how to basically take the drama out of discipline, which can be a lot of can be a challenge. You're
Yeah.
like, well, what does it to do with mental health disorders? Well, depending on how your child responds, including your teenager responds to things like discipline practices, you can identify, you can pay attention to like, maybe something's off here. And then this book is heavy, but it's absolutely it's a must read in my opinion for
Mhm.
practitioners and individuals interested in how this thing impacts our life. And it's called The Body Keeps Score. And I
Okay.
want to highlight this one. Oh, I got
Mhm.
another one too. The Body
Mhm.
Keeps Score.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Dr. Bessel van der Kolk.
Mhm.
And man, when I talk about the body keeps score, when we realize how I got a stomach ache and you got
Mhm.
internal issues and you got
Yeah.
ulcers and
Yes.
sick, you can't pinpoint, you
Mhm.
may be going through something that's of the uh,
Yeah.
mental basis.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Here we go.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. Okay.
My final one. My final one. This
Yeah.
is by
What happened
Bruce
to you?
Perry and
Mhm,
Oprah Winfrey. What happened to you? Right, not
mhm,
what's wrong with you. And sorry
mhm.
about the holiness, but what
Yeah. We
happened
see. Yeah.
to
What
you?
happened to you?
Um,
Yeah.
all great readings.
Hmm.
You can begin in any place with these books, and you will find
Hmm.
yourself enlightened and encouraged to kind of seek out better wellness for yourself. So those are the
Excellent.
books I recommend.
Excellent, excellent. Rob, you do great work, and everything that you have laid out is going to be a blessing and beneficial to those who are listening. As you just described the signs, you described the pervasiveness of mental health strain right now, and what can be done about it, to
Yeah,
be sensitive and to support, and to normalize taking care of our mental health. So want to
yeah.
thank you so much, Rob, for coming and for sharing that. Bless you. Keep doing the good work that you're doing, providing that care and support for families and for young people.
I thank you for allowing me to be on this platform and for having this platform for such an important issue. So I thank you guys so much for
Mhm.
talking about this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, we want to thank all of you for joining us for another segment of For the Health of It, brought to you by Metropolitan Health Ministries. I'm Dr. Trevor Kinlock, and we invite you, if this was a blessing to you, as we know it was, please like, share, subscribe, push this out to as many people as you can, because we've got to spread this information, as we have said. So may God bless you, may He keep you, and remember, above all things, God wants you to prosper and to be in health.
Amen.
Take care, everybody.